Coming up on BCN today, a local business is giving away a vehicle to a needy Lethbridge family just in time for Christmas. Plus, the Lethbridge Soup Kitchen recently celebrates their 35th anniversary. BCN's Loris Alexander examines what kind of an impact they're having in our community. And we have a local reaction to the firing of legendary sportscaster Don Cherry.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today. A man was arrested and taken into custody early this morning after barricading himself inside the unit of a complex in the 600 block of 4th Street South. In a press release, Lethbridge Police described the man as a high-risk subject, but didn't provide any other details. Members of the Lethbridge Police Service's Critical Incident Response Team dealt with the matter and took the man into custody. 2 women have been charged in connection with an incident where a taxi driver was robbed at knife point and had his cab stolen. On November 11th, a police officer was flagged down by an injured man in the Tim Hortons parking lot along Mildred Dobbs Boulevard. The 68-year-old man reported that he'd been robbed by 2 women and had his taxi stolen. The man had been dispatched for a pickup at 7-Eleven on 13th Street North. When he arrived, 2 women got in and one pulled a knife and said the other woman was armed with a gun. The driver stopped at the vehicle and was able to escape. The women then stole the cab and driver's belongings. Police arrested 31-year-old Kimberly Rose Eagle Speaker and 38-year-old Jessica May Eagle Speaker after the stolen taxi was spotted in an alley and footprints in the snow led into a north side house. Both women have been released by the Justice of the Peace and will appear in court later this week. The Lethbridge Soup Kitchen has been serving up thousands of meals for 35 years so that families in Lethbridge don't go hungry. BCN's Loris Alexander spoke with the staff at the kitchen and tells us that compassion is on the menu leading up to Christmas.
The Lethbridge Soup Kitchen prepares long before its doors open for a festive dinner on Christmas Eve.
The 24th is a big day. It will be partially because we're not open on Christmas Day, the only day other than Sundays that we're not open in the entire year. We think it's important to give our staff and volunteers the day off to be with their families, and so we make sure that we, quote, load them up on the 24th.
Manning the utensils are dedicated volunteers willing to make a difference. Volunteers like August and Ann, who've been volunteering at the Lethbridge Soup Kitchen for 35 years.
No, the reason we usually got involved is we were on the farm. We had a bunch of extra eggs. We heard they had a soup kitchen starting, so we phoned them up and asked them if they wanted some eggs. They said, no, we could use help more. And that's how we got started.
Ginther says December 24th is a big one, and a lot of the clients look forward to the celebration.
The biggest thing about the Christmas Eve would be that we make people feel as though they have a place to come where they feel welcome. This is family to them. Many of them have no family, or their families are elsewhere, or they've lost track of them. Families don't really want to relate to them because of their situation. So what we want to do is create a welcoming place.
The kitchen serves up 3 meals a day, 6 days a week, with approximately 85 to 100 people per meal. And the kitchen also boasts a roster of 750 volunteers. However, the need for funding for operational costs is on the delicate side.
We're really careful how we spend. We don't have a lot of overhead, but that's one of the things that is always a little bit trickier to raise funds for, is to keep the lights on and pay the heat bills, the gas for the van, those kinds of things.
For Bridge City News, I'm Loris Alexander.
Thank you, Loris. Food Banks Canada has released their new hunger count of 2019. It says that just over 34% of those relying on food banks nationally are children, when they only represent 19.4% of the population. Single-parent households with children are particularly challenged to make ends meet, and locally, Interfaith Food Bank is serving more children in more single-parent households than the national and provincial averages. A local auto body repair shop is driving Christmas cheer to a local family yet again this year. Big Al's Auto Repair in North Lethbridge started a generous tradition 5 years ago called the annual Christmas Van Giveaway.
Exactly 5 years ago, we gave away a van to a family that we encountered who was in need, and we bought a van and we fixed it up and we put some groceries and some gift cards in it. Then the next year it kind of grew a little bit and we gave away 2 vans. The year after that, 2, last year 2. This year we're only going to do 1. We have a family who's in need who we have encountered through a local organization. An organization puts forward their names, and then we do the rest. So we got ourselves a van that was donated to us, and then we talk to our networks and our social circles, and we get them to donate groceries and gift cards and presents for the kids, and then we fill it up and we surprise the family with them right before Christmas.
If you'd like to help with the annual Christmas Van giveaway, please call Big Al's Auto Repair at 403-381-8288. Alberta's NDP opposition is worried about a UCP policy proposal that it says would strip funding to public and Catholic school districts. The policy resolution calls for the government to give private schools the same amount of money as public schools. The resolution is to be debated later this month at the UCP's annual general meeting in Calgary. NDP education critic Sarah Hoffman says a similar system has not worked well in the U.S. Alberta Education says it won't comment on the policy resolution. The rights of an unborn baby were a hot topic of discussion this last federal election. The battle between pro-life and pro-choice continues. Denise Mountainay of Together for Life Ministries is a former abortion patient and is now a pro-life activist. She took her concerns to the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland last month. Then on her way to London with the same message, she was arrested at the airport and strip searched. We asked her what issues she was raising while she was there.
Well, I had a great opportunity to talk about the mental health impact of legal abortion on women. And I was in the suicide prevention plenary session, and I made the statement regarding the Giesler study, where it showed that women who have an abortion are 6 times more likely to attempt or commit suicide in the aftermath. And 2 of my friends committed suicide. And this was a huge breakthrough at the World Health Organization at the Mental Health Forum.
That was Denise Mountainay with Together for Life Ministries. A lot of talk on Remembrance Day was about the firing of legendary sportscaster Don Cherry. Cherry went on a rant about those who come to Canada and don't wear poppies.
You people love you that come here, whatever it is. You love our way of life. You love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies or something like that.
Cherry has gone on record saying he is not sorry. He says he knows what he said and he meant every word of it. The president of Sportsnet, Bart Yabsley, had this to say in a release: "Sports brings people together. It unites us, not divides us." Following further discussions with Don Cherry after Saturday night's broadcast, it's been decided that it's the right time for him to immediately step down. During the broadcast, he made divisive remarks that don't represent our values or what we stand for. So we hit the streets and asked if you thought Sportsnet was justified in firing the 85-year-old sportscaster.
You should judge people based on how they do their work, not really on what they say exactly. Maybe firing was a little over the top, but yeah, maybe if he just got suspended for something, or yeah, but I don't think he should have gotten fired.
In my opinion, I think it's completely outrageous. I think he's telling people to wear poppies and respect people, or respect those who served and who are currently in service. I think that's absolutely ridiculous that they would fire him over something that's so important to Canadians and everybody else, like remembering those who've fallen. And I think Sportsnet is completely in the wrong for doing something like that to him.
He's had a reputation of being politically incorrect, which I guess Sportsnet finally said enough. And even though it's a 35-year reputation, one of the best I've ever seen in my life, along with other people I know, he finally just hit the peak, and Sportsnet, I guess, had enough. And I guess if I were to say my opinion on it, I guess Sportsnet had every right to do that if he's been building up a track record for this.
Parliament will choose its next Speaker of the House when MPs return on December 5th, and there will be a familiar name among the contenders for the role. Halifax Liberal MP Jeff Regan plans to let his name stand among those who want to be the referee for the Commons. There are thought to be at least 3 others in the running: fellow Liberal Anthony Rota, Conservative MP Bruce Stanton, and Carol Hughes of the NDP. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe met with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recently. Following the meeting, Moe said he was quite frustrated.
We had proposed very publicly the opportunity to put the carbon taxation policy on pause so that we can move forward to achieve real results in our province and then replicate those results in other areas if other provinces so choose. We put forward a conversation, a commitment to a conversation around having a fair distribution, wealth distribution policy in this nation, so that is fair to all provinces, including 3 provinces that have had the lowest GDP growth rate over the course of the last 5 years. Those 3 provinces continue to contribute to the equalization program. And last but not least, to ensure that we have policies in place that allow us to get our goods to market, and not only from Saskatchewan, but from all of our provinces beyond the construction of the TMX pipeline. What we have here is we have a Prime Minister that on election night said he understood those frustrations and he wanted to support the people in the province of Saskatchewan. I came today to hear about what he was going to do differently to support the industries and the people in our province, and I can tell you this: I did not hear that there was going to be anything different. I heard more of the same, and I can tell the people of the province that I represent that I will not abandon the people in Saskatchewan. I will not abandon the industries that create wealth for the people that I represent, and I'll be there very shortly.
Dr. Jeffrey Hale is a political science professor at the University of Lethbridge. We asked him recently what it would take for Conservative leader Andrew Scheer or another party leader to bring down Justin Trudeau's minority government.
Government has to lose a confidence vote. So they can do that in one of 2 ways. They can either miscalculate, as Joe Clark did in 1979, and not have the votes to pass a measure they call a measure of confidence. Or they can deliberately set up a budget or some other confidence vote to challenge the opposition parties to throw them out of office, having polling data that suggests that they can win an election.
Watch the entire interview with Jeffrey Hale discussing how Trudeau will have to work with the other leaders once Parliament reconvenes on December 5th. That's coming up in the second half of our show. Also coming up later in our show is Michael Wagner, a political science professor at the U of A and author of the book Alberta Separatism, Then and Now. Wagner says the sentiment of Alberta becoming its own country has been growing since the federal election. We asked him what it would take to quell the Alberta separatist movement.
If Trudeau was to make some concessions, I think the separatist movement would dissipate to some degree because, as we talked about earlier, so many Albertans are actually dedicated Canadians. And if the federal government was being more favorable to Alberta, they would kind of drift away from the movement. So much of the future of the separatist movement is in the hands of the federal government.
Catch the full interview with Michael Wagner discussing Alberta separation. That's also coming up later on in our show. Alberta's United Conservative Party says it's taking corrective action after some people who tuned into a live stream of Premier Jason Kenney on Facebook had their comments muted or blocked from the page. Kenney was announcing the creation of a fair deal panel that will examine ways to make Alberta more independent from Ottawa. A spokesperson for the UCP says dissenting comments should not have been moderated. Harrison Fleming says a review of the thousands of comments on the Premier's Facebook page shows a wide range of opinions, including some that disagree with the government. The first televised public hearing begins today into U.S. President Donald Trump's pressure on Ukraine to investigate Democratic rival Joe Biden's family, and the world will be watching. Today's hearing in the impeachment probe will hear from two diplomats, Ukraine Chargé d'Affaires William Taylor and George Kent, the Deputy Assistant Secretary in Washington. Taylor has told House investigators the Trump administration withheld aid to Ukraine over political investigations. Republicans are expected to argue that none of the witnesses has firsthand knowledge of the president's actions. According to a new study, more destructive hurricanes are hitting the United States. The research found that the storms are slamming our southern neighbors 3 times more often than normal.
We should see more of these extreme storm footprints, extreme, what they call area of total destruction is their way they measured this. So we should be seeing more of these. We're actually also should be seeing fewer of the weakest storms. Overall, the study couldn't find much of a change in the number of total storms. It's just the bigger, badder ones are becoming more frequent, and the wimpier ones are becoming less frequent.
Well, no hurricanes in the forecast here, although sometimes it feels like it here in Lethbridge. We have a 30% chance of showers today, though. Complete weather details are coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Here's your weather highlights for today and tomorrow in Lethbridge. Today we have a 30% chance of showers, a high of 7 degrees, a low of -5 overnight. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies with a high of +5 degrees. Not too bad for the next couple days. Looking ahead to the 5-day forecast, a high of 12 degrees on Friday with scattered clouds. Lots of sunshine though on a Saturday with a high of 8 degrees. Temperature going all the way up to 14 degrees on Sunday with a mix of sun and cloud. Sunshine in the forecast again for Monday, high of 9 degrees and a high of 6 degrees on Tuesday with scattered clouds. So pretty even temperatures there looking at those plus temperatures. The almanac says the average high this time of year should be around 5 degrees and it looks like we're kind of hitting that. The average low should be around -7. The highest temperature on this day was in 1990. It was 20 degrees. The lowest temperature, though, was a freezing -34. That was back in 1955. The sun rose this morning at just 7:39 a.m. We'll be setting this evening at 4:52 p.m. just before that 5 o'clock hour. So we are in the 4 o'clock hour for the sunsets there. Looking to the west coast, lots of rain today in Victoria and Vancouver, 11 degrees for those cities, a high of 4 degrees in Edmonton and flurries. Flurries also expected today in Calgary with a high of 6 degrees. Saskatoon will see a high of -6 with a mix of sun and cloud. Lots of sunshine in Regina here, a high of 6 as well, and a high of -5. In Winnipeg, they're going to be seeing a chance of flurries there with a mix of sun and cloud there as well. Looking over to our friends in the east, Toronto is going to see a chance of flurries today with a high of -4. Lots of sunshine though in Ottawa and Montreal with highs of -6 and -8 in those cities. Looking over to Atlantic Canada, there's a chance of flurries today with scattered clouds in Fredericton, high of 4 degrees. High of +1 degree in Halifax with a chance of flurries there as well. Snowing today in Charlottetown, high of -2. And rain showers expected in St. John's, Newfoundland with a high of 16 degrees. That's your weather forecast. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News Community Calendar. Find something unique for someone on your Christmas list at the Lethbridge Society of Glass and Old Man River Potters Guild Christmas Show and Sale from November 14th to the 16th at Westminster Community Hall. This event features works by local artists with everything from dishware to decor. Admission is free with refreshments available for purchase. The Mennonite Historical Society of Alberta is holding their fall conference on Saturday, November 16th at the Gem of the West Museum in Coaldale, beginning at 1 p.m. Hear about the struggles of conscience in the Mennonite community during the Second World War with guest speaker Conrad Stows. Registration is $20. For more information, email kenmattis@gmail.com or call 403-929-3604. Come for a festive evening to Crossroads Counseling Shine the Light Christmas Celebration and Fundraiser on Friday, December 6th, beginning at 6 p.m. at the Coast Lethbridge Hotel. Enjoy a full-course dinner, a silent auction, and live musical entertainment featuring the Freedom House Choir, West Side Choir, and the Evangelical Free Church Praise Choir. Tickets are $50 per person and can be purchased at the Crossroads Counseling Office. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
Got a splinter and don't have a pair of tweezers handy? Well, today's daily life hack will help extract those pesky shards with a shot glass and hot water. Take a look at this. Very cool. I will have to try that sometime. That was your daily life hack. Burger King is introducing a plant-based burger in Europe. It's not the Impossible Whopper, which hit the North American market last spring. Instead, a Dutch company called the Vegetarian Butcher will supply the new soy-based Rebel Whopper that went on sale yesterday at 2,400 restaurants across Europe. The Impossible Foods burger has not been approved for sale in the European Union because it contains genetically modified ingredients. The EU requires testing on such products before they are sold. The Disney Plus streaming service has launched in Canada for just under $9 a month or $89.99 a year. It comes stacked with an extensive library of Disney titles, including The Lion King and Pinocchio. The service will also have Marvel and Star Wars movies. The new service will also offer an array of original TV series, including a live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp. Analysts expect the service to do well at the beginning with its low entry price and coveted library of older movies. The challenge, they say, will be to keep those subscribers in the long run. The Calgary Stampeders will not be defending their Grey Cup championship at home this season as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers knocked off the champs 35-14 over the weekend. Bombers head coach Mike O'Shea says his team never gave up this season.
You can't say enough about, their willingness to just keep working at it and working at it and working at it. Because the first day you put a plan in, it doesn't always look great, and you got to just keep plugging away at it. So they took the ball away. It was very effective in the second half, especially.
Like I said, I'm really proud of the players and coaching staff for giving it a good run. It wasn't a very good run in the playoffs here because we're out. But I mean, everyone bought in and did everything they could. We wanted to try to make a run at this for the Grey Cup here in our home city, but there was just challenges and we couldn't overcome. One of them obviously is a great football team in Winnipeg, but we felt like we were always just trying to climb. Never quite felt like we could get to the top. Guys never relaxed, played hard, just didn't have enough. Just didn't make enough plays.
It's country music's big night tonight as the 53rd Annual Country Music Association Awards are handed out tonight in Nashville. Maren Morris is the leading nominee with 6 nods. Tonight's show highlights the great women of country music, with 3 of them co-hosting the ceremony. That would be Carrie Underwood, Dolly Parton, and Reba McEntire. The federal government could be brought down. Political science professor Dr. Jeffrey Hale from the University of Lethbridge is up next after the break to explain how that could happen. Stay with us.